Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about how to add cinematic film grain to your footage. Now this is something that often gets overlooked by new videographers or even seasoned videographers because in today's day and age we use a lot of DSLR or mirrorless cameras and they produce amazing digital footage which can be in 4K and just have beautiful bokeh and beautiful effects. But the one thing missing that our eyes are trained to see is film grain. When you shoot on digital, depending on your ISO, you don't get a natural film grain. When you go to the movies, often you are used to seeing real natural film grain. Because of the way videos and films were shot in the past, there was a natural grain element built into the reel of film when it was recording. And this is something that our eye has been trained to see as cinematic. So film grain in any movies, basically the past 100 years have had film grain, and even in today's modern age when feature films are shot on a red camera or just high-end digital cameras, often what they will then do in post is add film grain. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to add to your DSLR footage or your mirrorless footage some film grain to give it that next extra 5-10% to make it look more cinematic. Because at the end of the day, you want your footage to match what is considered to the eye, whether people know it or not, to match the high-end cinematic look. And so this is something that comes at the very tail end. When you're done your edit, you're gonna learn to put an extra layer on top that is the film grain. And it does just add this small little detail that often people don't notice or can't pick up why it just looks better. But it is something that I learned along the way around 10 years ago to add to all my footage that I was working on. And this is just something I saw someone else do and I realized once thinking through it, wow, that is something that only the top end videographers really know how to do well. And it's just that extra little tip that if you don't know any better, you wouldn't think to add it. But once you stop and you realize what's going on there, it is really easy and it really does add an extra dimension and layer to just take your footage to the next level. So we're gonna jump into just a quick little project here in Resolve and I'm gonna show you how to use our film grain to just take your footage to the next level. So let's jump into a project and I'm gonna take it from the very beginning in Resolve in case you've never used Resolve before and show you how easy it is to add to your footage. So here we are in Resolve. We have just a simple project setup. I haven't really done anything yet, but what we have is we have some stock footage that I have from some previous shoots that's also available on VMC, and then we also have our film grain. So this is a pretty simple project. If you want to be really good and really organized, I would always suggest to create yourselves bins just to keep it nice and organized. So I'm going to create a new bin and we're going to call this the film grain, and then I'm also going to create a new bin and just call this our footage. This just makes it really simple going forward in case you need to have other people work on it or you come back to a project. It is really important to keep your footage nice and organized. So now I've moved over to the edit tab, and because I'm not doing a full video edit for you guys today, I'm just going to throw the footage into the timeline so that you can kind of just see what I'm doing. Now this was all shot in slow-mo, so there is audio that is unsynced below, so I'm going to just delete it because we don't actually need what was recorded on the audio. And so now we have our footage. So this was shot at a worship album that our church was filming, and so I was getting a bunch of B-roll with everyone kind of recording, and so here's the footage that we're gonna add this extra dimension to. This footage looks great. It was shot on a Blackmagic camera. It is nice and clean looking. The color is nice and warm because this was a beautiful studio we were filming at. But what you want to do is add just a little bit of film grain just to take it to the next level. And this is really easy to do. So imagine you've got your edit done and now you're just going to come in and basically put the finishing touches on your shots. So we have a bunch of different film grains. You can see it scrolling here. There's a mix between very kind of clean as well as more dirty and muddy. So these are film scans, and what you're gonna see is you're going to see either dirt and hair and just different graining that is happening. And this is going to add just that extra little level of cinematic experience to your footage. So I'm gonna pick one that looks kind of dirty. You can see even on the edges, like some little bits of dust and hair that got scanned through. So now we have our footage here. We've dropped it into our timeline. The next part is actually really easy. We're gonna go into our inspector. So we're gonna come down to composite, and then we're gonna go click on this normal, and what we wanna go down to is overlay. And overlay is going to composite this grain onto the footage. So if you click off, you can see that it tends to brighten it in some areas, but you can really see the grain matching in here. So you can see this is a very, very clean image, and it does look great, absolutely. When you add film grain, you're actually distorting the image a little bit, but when you look at movies that are high-end cinematic, so one of the directors I really love is Christopher Nolan. He always shoots on traditional film cameras because of the reasons of either the sensor size or especially film grain. Film grain is something that is really important to give that look of being something high-end, and it is just often something that is overlooked. So now that we have our film grain placed on top, it is actually pretty easy to then just duplicate it on this layer above and just have a complete film grain layer. And then you can trim it to the end of your footage. So that's how easy it is to just put your film grain over top. And now you can kind of see the difference in beautiful clean shot, absolutely, but then the film grain on top just gives it that next level shot in my mind. And this is something that I will often pick up on when I'm seeing other people's footage, is whether or not they know how to add that extra layer that just gives it something that shows an artistic eye and a high level eye. So this is something very easy. If you are a new videographer, you're gonna be constantly working on your gear and your shots, trying to make them look great. This is that extra little tip and trick to take your footage to the next level. So I would encourage you guys to try doing this effect on your next video project. We would love to see it on your next video project. So when you do create your next video and you add film grain from Visual Media Church, please comment on this video or send it to us. We would love to see how you've used it, and we can definitely give you some tips and tricks on how to make it look even better. But for now, try it on your next project, see how it takes it to the next level, and then get back to us. Thanks for watching this video. Comment below, and we'd love to connect with you. Bye.